What's up, y'all? Thanks for joining me for another episode of Behind the Mic, hosted by Wize Grazette. I'm your host, of course, Wize Grazette, RPN community manager and podcast enthusiast. Y'all can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, formerly known as X, at The Real Wize. That's W-I-Z-E. Every episode, same acts, y'all. Y'all already know what it is. Please subscribe to Behind the Mic wherever you listen to your podcast. Matter of fact, let's do this. Subscribe, share it with a friend, because that's a big one. And of course, leave a review, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the episodes. Those really help us thrive on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcast. On today's episode, it's just going to be me. And I'm going to be talking about the GUBA Awards, my experience there. And it was an incredible one, just to kind of preface that. Also, the fact that we are 1 year old. It is our 1 year anniversary. Well, technically, it was on the 10th of November. It's when we started the podcast. Is when the trailer went up. So, yes, very excited on just having a 1 year old baby, a new 1 year old baby. But then also, of course, I want to talk about the holiday season. Thanksgiving just passed, and I am thankful for a ton of things. So stay locked into this episode. Got some things to talk about. So first up, the GUBA Awards. The GUBA Awards was incredible. I'm going to put some B-roll in here for you all to see clips as I'm talking about this. But the GUBA Awards was incredible. The first day, which was November 10th, the day of our anniversary, I actually went to the trade and investment conference, and there was so much incredible information that was shared, stories of people in Africa, in Ghana specifically, and of course, people in Barbados kind of talking about how they've been trying to address a problem and how they will address that problem now that they're working together. That felt great. I'm not going to lie. Like, that felt great. And that was how the entire experience started. I met so many of the GUBA team members, including one of my faves, Christine, who helped me out a lot during my time in Barbados. So thank you so much for that, Christine. I appreciate you. And of course, Lady Dentaa. Man, again, if y'all didn't see the season opener, go back and watch episode 1 of season 2. But there are people who say that they want to do things, and some people execute, some people don't, but they execute in their own manner, their own fashion. And when I tell you that everything was like on point, okay? Again, like I said, the trade and investment conference, we had an incredible time there. The next day, there was a women's brunch, and then the night ended at a Laurel Court with not just the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Mia Motley, but as I arrived, the king of the Ashanti people was actually walking out. For me to even just be, and I kept saying this so much that night specifically, like, wow, what is the likelihood of all of these people being in the same room ever again? And it's like, you want it to happen, and you know in the future something like this will happen, but I had to actually acknowledge that I'm like living through history right now, presently, right in front of me. It was something I'm just incredibly grateful for, because, you know, these opportunities are just not available for everyone. And I took my time to really immerse myself in everything that was happening. So yeah, so that was night 2. And then night 3 ended with the actual GUBA Awards ceremony, where one of our more recent former guests, Dr. Kevin Greenidge, governor of the Central Bank of Barbados, was honored alongside, the list of people who were honored and came to the award show to accept their award, and the acceptance speeches that they gave. Magical is really how I want to describe it, but it's something that you really just had to be there for. And that's why it was so important for me to be in Barbados. If you all want to hear the story of everything that happened to me for me to get there, listen to episode 4 of Coopback Podcast. So we shot that one in person when I was in Barbados. That's a little nugget. So yes, GUBA Awards, Lady Dentaa, thank you so much for the opportunity to be there to cover this event. I have a couple clips I'm going to share, some of my favorite moments that you can check out right now. And when I come back, we'll dive into the things that I'm grateful for this year.
and GUBA Foundation, we transform dialogues into development and culture into capital. Our vision is very simple, yet powerful. We ensure that our descendants of Africa, no matter where they live, have a stake in the future of the continent. Over 400 years ago, the Atlantic was used to divide, displace our people. Today, we return not in chains, but in collaboration, not in sorrow, but in strength. And for the first time, tomorrow, a flight will land from Accra to Barbados.
Represent George Floyd, represent the family of Malcolm X against the city of New York, Henry Relax, the first black woman who said we were able to survive outside the human body and policy to cultivate billions of dollars while her black family never been in it. And so we soon be able to 2020 and truly done a landmark result. And then let's go to Harvard University over this fraudulent concealment of this black family with having slave clothing brands that were worth $100 million that they continue to benefit from. And so I come to educate about the interest of using litigation as a tool for global reparations for black people.
Welcome back, y'all. Thanks for sticking around. Now, we're going to dive into some things that I'm thankful for and grateful for in this 1 year that we've had this podcast. And first and foremost, I'm grateful for all of the guests and listeners. You all don't have to share your time, whether you are a guest of the podcast, or whether you are a listener to the podcast, whether you listen to your first episode, whether you are a casual listener, whether you don't miss a single episode. I see you, Mom. I really do appreciate all of you, because without you, this podcast does not exist. Secondly, I'm grateful for everyone who I have been around that has seen the behind the scenes of me working on this podcast. That's shout out to you, Kwana, and Bree. And, everyone who's seen me really talk about this podcast. I thank you for everyone who has given me advice on the podcast, ways to make it better. And I'm still taking in advice for that as well, too. So appreciate you all for those things. And again, I'm thankful just the opportunity to tell stories and share stories in my way. Years ago, when I first got involved in podcasting, and I mean years ago, this was something that I dreamed of doing. So to be able to do this now for 50 episodes, because we are on episode 50 now, actually. Should have probably led with that. Mind blowing. But yes, 100% grateful for that. And the opportunity to create even more content. So right now I'm working on a podcast that's actually out right now. The podcast is called REVOLT Art Fair, the limited podcast series. It's going to be 6 episodes just talking about REVOLT Art Fair in 2025. That's happening this week. The week of this episode is coming out. Sorry for dating this, but yes, the week that this episode comes out, REVOLT Art Fair will be happening at Ice Palace Studios. And I created a podcast to talk about the series and give people a director's cut into the behind the scenes and what's happening on the ground at REVOLT Art Fair. So with that being said, you can check that podcast out as well too, as I'm again diving deeper and deeper into the work that I love. With that being said, that is the end of this episode of Behind the Mic, hosted by Wize Grazette. Thank you all for listening. If you haven't caught DJ Treacy's episode, definitely check that one out. On the next episode, I'm joined by a wrestling fan and a friend of mine, Queen PR from Those Wrestling Girls. I had Krista on last season. Queen PR is joining us on the next episode. So y'all, stay locked for that. And again, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, formerly known as X, at The Real Wize. That's W-I-Z-E. This is Wize Grazette, internationally known on the microphone as Wiz Wizzy and Wize, and I will catch you on the next episode. Behind the Mic, hosted by Wize Grazette, is powered by Offscript Podcast Network. Special thanks to the Indie Creative Network and Storytime Studios for editing and producing this podcast.